Welcome back to the Daily Drum on WHUR and Sirius XM Channel 141. This is the Insight segment. I'm Harold Fisher. As we head into the weekend, we've decided to make this a Foodie Friday conversation. Time to have a talk about turning up for your taste buds. Yesterday at the WHUR inaugural golf tournament at the Oak Creek Golf Club in Upper Marlboro, we had the pleasure of meeting Chef Anthony Thomas. If you missed the golf tournament, too bad on you. We are going to do it again. So there it is. But we are definitely talking about food tonight, but we're also talking about culture, health, children, and even leftovers. Chef Thomas has a story to tell. Chef Anthony Thomas, thank you so much for joining the conversation and talking to us. I really appreciate it.
Yes, indeed. No, I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely. Tell me, how did you learn to cook? What was your very first memory when it comes to food?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in a household, both of my parents cooked. Mom cooked, dad cooked, and eating out was really a luxury. But
Mm,
my favorite dish to cook when I was younger was probably around like 8 or 9 when I started coming home from school. And sounds weird because kids these days at 8 or 9 could never walk home from school. It'll look fairly odd. But I was walking home from school and my mom would give me like the cookies and the potato chips, but I didn't find those items, snack worthy. So I would go home and prepare scrambled eggs, fried eggs, put it on a sandwich, a little mayo spread, a little Dijon mustard, and that was my snack. So cooking breakfast was my first introduction into cooking.
hmm I don't think at 8 years old I even knew what Dijon mustard was, but much
Yeah,
less be able to pronounce it.
yeah. You don't remember those Grey Poupon commercials?
I do.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that was what I used to eat, and I loved it. It was spicy, but it was phenomenal.
That is a wonderful introduction. But how did you make the decision to become a caterer, a chef, a person who would do this for a living? That's a big step from Grey Poupon sandwiches at 8 years old.
Yeah. Honestly, I just found myself really intrigued as a kid with my parents actually cooking. So I'd sit there and I'd watch them and I'd ask questions. What type of seasonings were these? What type of herbs were those? And as I got older, I found myself exploring different options with cooking and not realizing that this is not only something that I'm interested in, but something I could do every day, even if I wasn't getting paid for it. And it brings me great joy doing it. And that's why I tell individuals, if you're really just cooking just for therapeutic purposes, or when you're bored, or if you're trying to stretch a dime, you know it may just be something that is just a hobby. But for me, I like to explore different foods, different herbs, different fruits, vegetables, pairing those together and making these really unique dishes. And that's why I can really say that this is something that is not really just my calling, but like the purpose why I'm here.
hmm It You have seen, I'm sure, over the past 5 years how the food landscape has changed regarding businesses. Restaurants have not done well since the
Mhm.
pandemic. Even as the economy has changed, there are restaurateurs, whether they have brick and mortar or whether they do pop-ups. A lot of people are really struggling. What is your take on uh, the economy of food service and entertaining? How have you been able to keep your head above water?
hmm That's a real good question. So I always heard when I was younger, and even as I've gotten older, that smart people learn from their mistakes, but wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So
Mhm.
I study other individual chefs, restaurants. I read magazines, newspapers. I see what, restaurants fail. What were their reasons for failing? I ask guys who once owned different restaurants, what do you think about this? What were the problems here? And when I put a lot of those things together, you start to see the common denominator in food service industry. And I see the problems and I see the pros. So when I see the pros, I'm like, okay, I implement that with the catering and the personal chef. And the cons, I stay clear away from. So some of the biggest issues are price gouging. A lot of the prices of food are extremely high. And they're marking you up over 30%, which is foul. And when people see that's what deters people from, engaging at your restaurant. Two, the high prices of beverages. There's no reason a cocktail in Virginia is $11, but the same cocktail with the same amount of alcohol in DC is $27.
Hmm.
Price gouging. Um, the lack of training of staff. If your staff isn't friendly, people will always remember that. So if I go into your restaurant and they're nice, there's a stronger chance that I'll come back. So training up the staff to be nice, because a lot of people complain, oh, the service was horrible. So service being horrible, it doesn't matter if that was your bad experience. If they tell 10 other people, those 10 people are not gonna go to your spot. But they say, oh, everybody was so nice, and the drinks were really affordable, the food was really affordable. There's a chance that, it's a numbers game. People will tell other people these good words about this spot, and the longevity is a little higher. So people are lacking in those departments when it comes to those things. And here's another one. I mean, I can go on and on, but here's one I find
Mhm.
key
Yeah.
is the aesthetics are put above the quality of the food. So if you're in here with these decor and grass walls and whatnot, but then your food doesn't match, it's like, okay, pretty establishment, maybe even decent plating, but if the food doesn't taste good, it's not up to par, it really will not keep coming back inside your establishment and your door.
You mentioned something really interesting. I like to cook,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a really big foodie. My palate is really, really expansive.
Mm-hmm.
But just last weekend, I was in Raleigh, North Carolina for a sister friend's wedding, and they had it catered, black
Mm-hmm.
chef. And the thing that struck me, and I shared this with him, and this kind of goes back to what you were talking about. This was a huge wedding, and I expected for the reception that when this beautifully plated food came to me, it was going to be lukewarm.
Mm.
Because that's always been
Yep.
my experience for years.
Mm.
The plate came to me, all the food was hot.
Nice.
And it was delicious, but the food was hot. And that struck me as even more important than just food
Yeah.
that's a B minus. The food was A plus, but it would have gotten a B if it wasn't hot. It was hot.
Mhm.
And I think when I even shared that with some friends, I kept, and the bride and groom as well, I said the food was wonderful, but it was hot.
Mhm.
And that, I mean, what else did I have to complain about?
Yep. Yep.
So when you what would you consider the thing now that is your particular specialty, when either when you're catering or
Mhm.
even when you do your pop-ups? I would imagine they are very, very different.
Mhm. The key thing for me that I feel like makes me stand out from other chefs
Hmm.
is a vibrant personality. And this is what others have told me on multiple occasions. They're like I can't this is one thing I can't do. I can't send another chef to another event. They want me in the building. Why do they
Hmm.
want me? Because the personality that I, I give off. The person who I am is who they want in the place. It's almost like I become not only the chef, but the entertainer or the entertainment in a sense. And I love to talk. So it's a win-win for me. So I'm already in my own element. I'm
Hmm.
talking, I'm laughing, I'm listening to jokes, and I get to watch individuals enjoy something that I handcrafted and put love into. So that's what I feel like really draws individuals to me.
When you decide to cook, because, and to your point, when yesterday at the golf tournament, and we didn't have a chance to really talk, but
Hmm.
I did observe exactly what you were saying, how you were interacting with the people. And to be quite honest, even when I stepped up just to get one of those hot links
Yeah.
and some of the rice and beans, um you were you were very cordial, but you were speaking to everyone even while you were on the grill. And so I did get, if you'll allow me to say, a taste
Yeah.
of that part of your personality. But but what is the thing that you do best in the kitchen?
uh Multitask and direct. So I literally can see every moving piece inside of the kitchen at an event and see what needs to be done, what needs to be done next, what's coming up. uh like, okay, I'm vigilant. So if I'm in the kitchen and I see, okay, we're setting up all of those chafing dishes, right? I'm like, hey brother, make sure you go get some water for him so that because he's just setting them up. You go get some water. Hey, it's a lighter in the bag. Yep. Okay, it's a lighter in the bag. We're good. Okay. Hey, bro. Can you go grab some trash bags from out of there? So I'm staging the whole entire set so we had the trash bags ready for when we start discarding of the aluminum sterno things, right? Um, Hey, you preheat the oven, right? Is that 350 yet? Okay. That other one's at 200. Okay, that's at 200. Let's go ahead and start adding the dishes that are already pre-made into the warmer, in the warm one at 200. Okay, it's at 350. Cool. Go ahead and throw those crab cakes in there on the top rack. All right. All right, boom, boom. Did you go ahead and start garnishing the table with the flowers? It's like directing, almost like the quarterback in a
Hmm.
sense. So like
Because
I can see.
what I'm hearing, and I think this is really important for entrepreneurs, young or seasoned. You like what I did there, seasoned?
Young and
Um,
see. Yeah.
um, is that again management, because this is a business,
Hmm.
and sometimes it doesn't matter how good the food is. If it is not managed well, it can fail.
Yeah. 100%. I totally agree.
What food is your specialty?
Hmm.
And what is the thing that you believe people keep coming back for, or what is it that you believe that you enjoy cooking the most, whether it's a formal catering situation or a pop-up?
Um, any aspect where food is being prepared, I love. So it doesn't matter if it's a pop up, a wedding, a gala, a baby shower. To me, it's about what that client just received from me, whether they tried a Brussels sprout for the first time, whether they tried a raw oyster that they were never willing to try before, but they were willing to try that for
Mm.
me. Or, just being a part of someone's special day, their 75th birthday, their retirement party, their installation ceremony, anything. Like me just being able to, that you're willing to put your event in my hands and allow me to be the one to showcase to you and your 50 guests, your 100 guests, your 500 guests. To me, you got to really trust somebody to put money in their hands to trust that they're going to do a good job, especially without a tasting or without a reference. Now, if you've done business with this person before, their rapport is already sealed and secure. But you know, I just love to be able to the bigger the party, the better to me.
Hmm.
But I'll still do a two-person dinner any day if you're celebrating your anniversary. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Talk about big or small. That that
Hmm.
that definitely makes a difference. Before I take a break, because when we come back, we're gonna talk about uh your favorite food the
Hmm.
thing that you like to cook at home. You've got a health journey story to
Yep.
share with us also, which I think is particularly interesting. Also, um, leftovers. I'm very interested in this whole leftover thing.
Hmm.
But for those who want to reach out to you, how can they find you online or on the web?
Yep. Every social media platform is Chef Anthony DC, as in District of Columbia, Chef Anthony DC, or even my website, which is my name, chefanthonythomas.com. Got recipes over there, got books over there, got juice cleanses, we got seasoning, and even the latest mumbo sauce. You can find
Okay.
all that right there on the website. So,
Okay, well, you just said DC right there. Uh,
yep.
Stay with us. We want to remind you that you can hear this and every edition of the Daily Drum Insight segment via podcast on WHUR.com. The Original Quiet Storm with Raheem Devon is next on WHUR-FM. This conversation, this culinary conversation, continues on Sirius XM channel 141 and 96.3 HD2 in just a few seconds. Welcome back to the Daily Drum on Sirius XM channel 141. I'm Harold Fisher. We are having a Foodie Friday conversation with Chef Anthony Thomas. He was part of our WHUR inaugural golf tournament at the Oak Creek Golf Club in Upper Marlboro on yesterday. If you missed it, you missed out, but there will be a chance for you to do it again next year. I wanted to go back to what we were talking about before the break. What is your favorite food that you cook
Hmm.
when you are cooking at home? And I don't mean something that you want to throw together, but I
Hmm.
mean something when that thing that you want to throw together for the wife, and the kids, once a month, once every 2 months, when you want to do
Hmm.
something special.
Yep. For the wife, it's always going to be some sort of pasta dish
Okay.
with seafood. For the kids, it's always going to be some sort of cheese-based dish. Now, whether that's a Greek salad, and yeah, the kids eat Greek salad because they love feta cheese,
Okay.
or whether that's some little mini street tacos with mozzarella cheese put on top, or even like some Parmesan shavings on there. They'll do the chicken, they'll do steak, they'll even just do mushrooms with a slaw. Now, for myself,
Okay.
if I'm looking for a guilty pleasure meal, it's probably going to be fried chicken. And when I deep fried in grapeseed oil, so I think that I'm doing it a lot healthier. Um, Fried chicken wings, and then of course, I'll drizzle that with my cougar glaze. Now, cougar glaze is a sauce
Cougar
that I
glaze
came.
what is that? Is that a phrase for, is that a glaze for older women looking for younger men?
Well, that now I tell you one thing. That's how the sauce name came about because at one point in
Really?
time I was a cub and I used to chase cougars. And speaking of that, my wife is a couple years older than me, so I just find that women, the older they get, the more attractive they become. So that's how I came up with cougar sauce. And on top of that, if someone wants me to describe the flavor of the sauce, it's just like cougars. It's sweet and spicy.
Mhm.
Yep.
For some reason, I know this to be true, but that's another conversation.
Yep.
Um,
Yes, indeed.
that
Uh-huh.
that is wonderful. You mentioned your daughters. They are what you say, 9 and
Nine
3
and
years.
three.
So you've got a teeny weeny one.
Mm-hmm.
But the 9-year old, she is, I'm sure she's just coming up into, that whole girlhood, being, very
Mm-hmm.
conscious of everything, taste buds and taste
Yep.
really beginning to evolve. As a father, what does cooking do to help you bond with your children?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, I allow them to be in the kitchen while I'm actually preparing the dish. And
Hmm.
one of the things that we bond together is I'll pull out like let's say we're doing like beef and broccoli.
Okay.
I'll ask them, what is this? Hey, what is this? So the younger one is 3. she can identify anything from asparagus to an onion to zucchini, knowing the difference between zucchini and cucumber, because that's how all I just quiz her. And to me, that's fun to her, and it's fun for me to actually see, how much they really pay attention. Um, but they actually sit there in the kitchen. Sometimes I even let them crack the eggs in the bowl before I do scrambled eggs if I'm making like a fried rice or something. Just getting them engaged, and the food tastes a lot better when you're a part of it. So
Yeah.
they love to eat the food that they actually helped prepare.
You know what? So here's something that you just said that really struck me. And
Mhm.
I thought that I was the only one. So my daughter is 27. She's grown.
Nice.
But when she was around 3, the same age as your youngest, we used to do colors and shapes and identifying fruits and vegetables in the produce section of the grocery store.
Yep.
And I for some reason I thought I was the only guy who did this. But we would go into the grocery store and we would get a zucchini and it would be
Hmm.
yellow. What color is this?
Yep.
It's yellow or it's green. Or we would talk about the lemons. What shape is this? This is oval. What
Yep.
color is it? Um, and it also we would also look at labels as well. Even as we were trying to develop her reading skills. I mean that's just amazing. Well, now
Yeah.
I don't feel alone.
Yeah. You know what? And it's good that you're able to do that because like you said earlier, it's a bonding session, but it's also educational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of education, also you've written several books. One
Hmm.
of them including by the title Classroom Potluck.
Yep.
Talk to me about Classroom Potluck.
So that's actually my latest book. It actually came out a couple weeks ago, and I think this might be one of the best bodies that I've brought out so far. And I'll tell you why. You know how like you've probably visited various countries, different states,
Mhm.
all around. So you know that we're a diverse world. Imagine a book that highlights 12 students inside of a classroom where each student is from a different part of the world and they're having a Heritage Day. And during Heritage Day, each one of those students are to bring in one of their favorite native dishes. So the Jamaican kid, he's from Jamaica. He brought in his favorite dish. It was jerk chicken, and he shared it with the class. And then each item the class tries it, and then they say something to the effect of, "Wow, that was super spicy because of the Scotch bonnet." Or the young Nigerian girl who brings in her favorite dish, which is jollof rice, and they say, "Wow, that was smoky but super flavorful," which it really is. And it goes all the way down the list from America to Egypt to Morocco to Asia, and there's one student per culture in the classroom.
The one of the things that and I think you're correct. We are in a space where in some parts culture is being downplayed and even uh dismissed. But I think, and we've seen this in these TV shows that have cultural excursion. CNN a really big thing. I think they're obviously trying to uh, replicate the unfortunate loss of Anthony Bourdain so many
Hmm.
years ago.
Hmm.
Um, but what do you believe that food means to our particular culture? I mean, you talked about fried chicken
Hmm.
and frying it in grapeseed oil. But obviously, black folks are more than potato salad, fried chicken, collard greens. Um, the culture has evolved.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I see that, when people inquire and they want a soul food spread, I try to get them to kind of steer, they can have their staple soul foods, fried chicken, collard greens, pasta salad, potato salad, deviled eggs, mac and cheese. But like let's add some other elements and some more newer fun dishes that not so much geared towards soul food. Or let's put a unique spin on it. So if you get collard greens, what type of meat you gonna put in it? Smoked turkey neck. So how about this? Let me spruce it up and put barbecue braised short ribs in there, pulled off the bone, and you know, let's try something different. Or if you want fried chicken, let's do Korean style fried chicken, not just regular uh flour, half cornstarch, or however people do it. Um, just so that it just makes it a little more fun. So if you got a regular mac and cheese, baked mac and cheese, right next to it, let's just do a vegan mac and cheese. Because a lot of people may think, oh, vegan mac and cheese, oh, that's not real cheese. But you never know until you try it. So introduce your guests to something that they, have to step outside their actual comfort zone.
You told that story about the cougar sauce, but where do your ideas come from?
Inspiration like literally comes from like just naturally reading. Sometimes it just comes to me in my sleep. Um, but really, I just really just I'm thinking about food and different sauces. When I go to different restaurants, I really get inspired. So I'm like, that was interesting. Uh, Shrimp ceviche. Let me try it with my. Let me try that with tuna. Let me instead of using jalapenos, let me use habaneros. You
Mhm,
know, um, I just get a kick out of trying new dishes. I mean, traditional dishes and making them new and fun.
mhm. Why do
Mhm,
you think that cooking, and I'm speaking anecdotally,
mhm,
for so many people is becoming a lost art? Yes, our grandmamas and grandpapas
mhm,
still cook, um, but I think a lot of times for young people, they are not learning how to cook other
mhm,
than opening up a can, dumping it in a pot. No, not in a pot, dumping it on a plate and sticking it in the microwave. What's
mhm.
going on?
Yeah, I mean, we're losing recipes where, grandma said, make it this way. Grandpa said, make it this way. And, we live in such a super fast paced environment that we feel like we don't have time anymore. you know and cooking is one of those things that takes time. you know you can actually taste the flavors, you could taste the love that someone puts in something when they actually let it marinate, or when they actually, I say put effort, but take their time with it. And with everything, like I said, everything is so fast paced in this world, like we feel like we don't have the same 24 hours we did 30 years ago. It just makes people just cut corners in a sense. And I hate to see it because, you know, the same amount of time I take to make certain things, it probably takes another person another extra 45, 50 minutes. Like, because I've been doing it forever, doing it for 17 years now. But for me, people really have to lock back in because eating out is not the healthiest option, not the most unhealthiest option, but cooking at home, all of the ingredients that you're putting into it.
Mhm.
You can you actually appreciate the dish a lot more, and you get more bang for your buck. I don't care what anybody says. They say, "Oh, restaurants, you're not getting as much cooking at a restaurant. I mean, cooking at home, you're not saving as much." You really are. You really are.
Yeah, yeah. Not to mention you have leftovers.
Hmm.
I now I have a sister. We are 4 years apart, and but it's like we weren't raised in the same household. My sister does not like leftovers. I can eat the same thing if it's good. If I cook it on Sunday, and it's good, I can eat it until it's gone on Thursday.
Hmm.
My sister, she can cook it on Sunday. She doesn't want it on Monday, Tuesday, or so. Talk to me about your leftover philosophy.
Leftovers for me, honestly, taste better the next day. Most things taste better.
Mm,
So like last night I made steak tacos on a street taco shell, corn tortilla shell, and a slaw. So I made the slaw. When I pre-packaged it to put in the refrigerator, the steak is still sitting there inside the sauce. You put a little piece of butter in there, boom, so that when you reheat it, the butter extracts, melts into it, boom. The slaw is good because it's nice and cold, got extra shells. If I had enough steak and I was still eating it Sunday, I would still be eating it on Sunday. But it'll probably be gone by later on tonight.
Hmm.
So I'm going to eat my leftovers as long as it takes for me to eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I did want to, talk to you also about your health journey.
Hmm.
You've heard the phrase, "I don't look like what I've been through,"
Hmm. Yep.
and you you had something called arterial venous malformation. Talk
Correct.
to me about what is that?
So if you
What
look right here, there's an actual
Aha.
scar where they opened up my head when I was 19 years old. I had a seizure, and they opened up my head, and well, of course, I had to agree to this. They opened up my head and they corrected it. Basically, an arterial venous malformation are blood vessels that are tangled. They cause headaches, migraines, and they can hemorrhage. Mine never hemorrhaged, but I had a seizure, which is what alerted them. Thank God. And when I went to GW Hospital, they did the scan and they saw that I had it. I told them, let's go with the surgery because I can't live like a walking time bomb, not knowing if it may hemorrhage, it may not. You may live your whole life and nothing ever happened, which I lived 19 years up to that point and nothing ever happened. But I can tell you this much. I got the surgery done. And after the surgery, I haven't had another headache or migraine since. And I used to get them like once a week. So, um, and the surgery now, which is crazy how science is, where they no longer have to open your head anymore. They
Hmm.
actually could go through that main artery inside of your leg, go all the way up. Don't know how they do it. And they could correct it just with, some tools that they utilize that go through that main artery, close it back up, and the recovery time's quicker. I know someone who had the surgery and they were out of the hospital in 2 days. Me,
Hmm.
I was out in 2 weeks. Yep. But guess what? Here we are 19 years later. Like I said, I haven't had another headache, sir, and like nothing, no reoccurring anything, no bleeding. And I give that all to God. And that's why I live in my purpose each and every day. Because technically, I shouldn't be here, but I'm here for a reason, for a purpose. And God kept me here for a reason.
And that's what I was going to ask you. How do you believe that potential health crisis um, changed your life, your outlook on life afterwards?
It most definitely did. It changed my entire outlook because, you begin to be grateful for small things. You sitting in that hospital room at 19 and you're like, oh, my friends are out there, they're in college. And I was at Bowie State at the time. And then when you finally get back out to the world, you're just like, the only thing that matters is the fact that I can be in this world with good health. Because without the good health, you're in the hospital.
Mm.
And, you know, I don't take not one day for granted. Every morning I wake up, I thank God for waking me up. Throughout the day, I'm thanking him for, you know, getting me through this. Every time I get another accomplishment in culinary arts or whatever, I thank him for it. Because technically these are things that we take for granted as if we're owed this. We're not owed any of this. You know, he's given it to us and he's shown us favor, and he continues to show me favor in my career. He continues to show me favor with my family, uh, friends, the support system, and I'm grateful for us. And that's why you'll see me in pictures smiling ear to ear, because I'm not too cool to smile, and I don't think it look cool not smiling, mean mugging in the photo, you know,
Hmm.
because I'm grateful to be here on this earth.
And that's a thing with brothers.
Yeah.
They
Hmm.
they don't want to smile. Like you said, they are often mean mugging,
Hmm.
and I think that certainly is a lesson, particularly if they have a full belly. So,
And no one can get me off of my A game. Like I could be sitting right here in my car, let's say somebody opens up the car and dents the door. I might be upset, but I'm not going to lash out, man, like that. Hey, bro, how we going to fix this? Like, because you may be having a good day. I might be feeling good. But if I ever lash out at somebody, road rage or anything, you never know. Someone else is probably having a worse day, and their worst day can end your days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I avoid confrontation, conflict. I don't raise my voice. You know, I try to find the best resolution for anything, any problem that may have taken place or I see taking place. We just have to come together as people, in the world. Like, the world is so chaotic, and everyone's so it feels so divided. But I tell you one thing, every culture, each person in this world, whether they white, black, Asian, Hispanic, we can all sit down and we can all have a plate of cougar wings and we will all enjoy it in our own respective way. That's the universal love language, is food.
Yeah, but and that brings me back to my food question. What's the best advice that you can give for people who are trying to cook at home? They're not trying to start a business, but they
Hmm.
want to eat better. They want to season their food better. What mistakes do people often make when they are cooking in the kitchen?
Yep. It's one of those situations where it's called measure twice, cut once. Once you over season, you can't undo it. It's done. So season it to your desired amount. And if you have to add to it. If you're at home and you're trying to figure out whether you want to cook, start off simple. Salmon, rice, steamed broccoli. No one said go out there and start grilling bok choy and all that other stuff, things that may take a little more, expertise.
Hmm.
Um, asparagus, things that literally only take one element. Some of the hardest things to make are some of the smallest items, like egg rolls. You not only have to cook the contents, you have to take the contents, cool them off, put them inside the wrapper, take it, wrap it up, boom, throw it in the freezer. After it's frozen and bonded, then you have to take it out, then deep fry it, then you have to cut it. So don't start with something like that. Start with something with less layers and less elements to prepare. Um, and from that point on, you'll realize that it becomes easier and easier. And the easier that becomes, now you can go from broiled salmon, 8 minutes in your oven on 425 degrees, to maybe salmon fried rice.
Mm.
And after that, then you may even move over to something like salmon fried rice with spinach dip, you know. Then even further down the line, you'll learn how to make your own ice cream.
Yeah, how about you're
Mm.
laughing. Look, that's a thing.
Hmm.
It really is a thing. Including a churnless ice cream. I even found a recipe for that.
Yeah.
That was delicious, and also very fattening. Not going to
Yeah.
have that conversation, but and I have about 7 different rices in here: parboiled, jasmine,
Hmm.
red
Hmm.
rice,
Yep.
brown rice, long grain, white rice,
Hmm.
black rice. Yeah, it's a thing. Those
Yeah.
grains are something else. What
Yep.
um what's your best advice for someone who wants to step away from just the plain Uncle Ben's type white rice? What's the next
Mhm.
best thing?
The next best thing is to go quinoa.
Okay.
So you go with some quinoa. If you still want a starch that's going to, give you that energy, roasted red potatoes. You could do that a different way. You could do all gratin potatoes. You could do sweet potatoes. And the
Hmm.
thing is, potatoes are literally whatever you want them to be, depending on how you cut it. Why does one potato, if I cut it into uh eighths, now it's become a potato wedge? But if I cut it in and dice it, now it's uh potato medallions or roasted red potatoes with onions and bell peppers. But if I add the peppers, now it's called potatoes O'Brien. But then if I take it and cut it into little strips, now it's called French fries. So, you get what I'm saying? That one potato is called so many different things depending on its shape. Hey,
uh, any final thoughts from you about cooking and what's next for you
mhm.
as you continue to evolve?
Yeah. Next for me, the biggest thing, I think this might be the biggest one coming up, is my I'm going to be competing for Maryland in the World Food Championship. And
Oh
that is
wow.
in Indianapolis. Because I won last 2 weeks ago. I won 2 weeks ago in the seafood category. It was supposed to be me against 6 other guys. 4 guys dropped out off break. So that day I competed against one guy who owns a restaurant. He had a beautiful dish, but the winner came out victorious. I did a charbroiled oyster topped off with peach preserves, bacon jam,
Oh.
chives, Parmesan cheese. Yeah, it was out of bounds. So yeah, now it's time to take it to the next level, compete it against, I'm talking about people coming from all over the world. And last year was not last year, 2019 is the last time I competed. It was sponsored by Walmart. We'll find out who it's sponsored by, but the pot is big. So I'm going out there and I'm giving it all.
Now, when is this happening?
This is in Indianapolis. That is the weekend of October 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th.
So that's
So
next month.
yep.
Yeah, listen.
If I
No,
win the round one, I go to round two. Win round two, go to round three. And when I tell you that pot is huge, it's like 100K or something. Maybe I think it's a 250,000. I don't know.
listen. I'm sure you're going to do well, but
Yeah,
no matter how you do, I would love to reach out to you
yeah,
and find out, just talk about that experience.
yes, indeed.
No longer baby steps. That's a you know that's a big step. That's a whole
Yeah,
side of beef right there.
yeah, yeah. And I
So
can't wait. And it's in my favorite category, seafood.
there you go.
Yep.
Chef Anthony Thomas, thank you so much for
Thank you for
spending
having
some
me.
time with us. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on your business success.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
luck next month in Indiana, and we will definitely be talking.
Absolutely. Sound good to me.
That is the Daily Drum for this Friday, September 26th. For News Director Renee Nash, I'm Harold Fisher. Good night